Good day, everyone. Today we're discussing a topic that is often surrounded by jokes, assumptions, and unnecessary judgment. The truth is that every woman's emotional and physical journey is unique. Whether someone has been single for months or years doesn't define their worth, beauty, confidence, or happiness. What we're really talking about today isn't simply physical intimacy. It's about emotional needs, personal growth, loneliness, healing, independence, and human connection. Some women choose to remain single. Others are waiting for the right partner. Some are recovering from heartbreak, while others are simply focused on building their lives. Instead of criticizing or making assumptions, let's understand some common behaviors that people may notice. These are not universal truths, nor do they apply to every woman. They're simply observations that may appear in some individuals. Here are 7 possible signs. One of the strongest signs is that she begins craving genuine emotional connection more than simple physical attention. This is something many people misunderstand. They assume that when someone has been single for a long period, all they want is physical intimacy. In reality, many women reach a stage where emotional safety becomes far more valuable than temporary excitement. She may find herself wishing for meaningful conversations after a long day, rather than late-night attention that disappears by morning. She starts appreciating kindness over charm, consistency over empty promises, and honesty over impressive appearances. The little things begin to matter more. A thoughtful message, someone remembering important details about her life, someone checking on her without expecting anything in return. As time passes, she becomes more aware of her emotional needs. She realizes that physical attraction fades quickly if respect, trust, and communication are missing. She no longer wants to waste energy on relationships that lack depth or purpose. Instead, she values someone who listens carefully, supports her dreams, respects her boundaries, and creates a sense of emotional security. This shift often surprises people because it doesn't always match society's expectations. Some may assume she's being overly picky or difficult, but what they're actually seeing is growth. Experience has taught her that peace is better than confusion, and being alone is better than settling for someone who cannot meet her emotional needs. During this season of life, she also spends more time getting to know herself. She discovers new hobbies, builds stronger friendships, advances her career, and develops confidence that isn't dependent on anyone else's validation. These experiences strengthen her standards rather than lowering them. When she eventually considers dating again, she approaches relationships differently. Instead of asking whether someone is attractive, she asks whether they are emotionally available. Instead of wondering if someone likes her, she wonders whether their values align with hers. Instead of chasing attention, she looks for consistency, maturity, and mutual respect. This doesn't mean she has stopped desiring affection or companionship. Rather, it means she understands that emotional intimacy forms the foundation of a lasting relationship. Physical closeness without trust often leaves people feeling emptier than before. Genuine connection, on the other hand, creates comfort, confidence, and stability. She learns that love isn't measured by grand gestures or constant excitement. It's reflected in patience during difficult moments, honest communication during disagreements, and the willingness to grow together over time. Because of this understanding, she becomes less impressed by temporary attention and more attracted to emotional intelligence. Ultimately, what she seeks isn't simply someone to spend the night with. She seeks someone she can trust, laugh with, grow beside, and build a meaningful future with. That desire for authentic connection often becomes stronger the longer she spends investing in herself and understanding what truly matters in a healthy relationship. As we come to the end of today's discussion, remember this: a woman's relationship status or the amount of time she has spent without intimacy does not define her character, her value, or her happiness. Every woman has her own story. Some are healing, some are growing, some are waiting patiently for the right person, while others are happily embracing single life. Rather than making assumptions based on appearances or behavior, we should choose empathy, respect, and understanding. The healthiest relationships are built not on desperation, but on mutual respect, emotional maturity, trust, and genuine love, When someone has taken time to know themselves, they often become better prepared to build a stronger and healthier partnership. Let's replace judgment with compassion and remember that everyone's journey is different. Thank you all for your time, your attention, and your open minds. I hope today's discussion has encouraged you to look beyond stereotypes and appreciate the importance of emotional well-being, healthy relationships, and self-worth. If you found value in this message, continue having thoughtful conversations that uplift, educate, and inspire others. Until next time, take care of yourselves, value meaningful connections, and always choose respect over assumptions. One of the first things people may notice is that she begins to value emotional connection far more than physical attention. This is often misunderstood because many assume that if a woman has gone a long time without a romantic relationship or physical intimacy, her greatest desire must be physical affection. In reality, for many women, time spent alone changes their priorities. They begin to realize that emotional security, trust, and meaningful companionship are much harder to find than temporary attraction. Instead of looking for someone who simply compliments her appearance or gives her attention, for a few hours, she starts appreciating the person who genuinely asks how her day went and truly listens to the answer. She values conversations that make her think, laugh, and feel understood. A heartfelt discussion over coffee becomes more meaningful than endless flirtation that leads nowhere. She wants someone who remembers the little details she shares, celebrates her achievements, and supports her through difficult moments without being asked. Being alone for an extended period often gives her time to reflect on past relationships and understand what truly matters. She may realize that physical chemistry alone cannot sustain a healthy relationship. Attraction is important, but without honesty, loyalty, communication, and respect, even the strongest attraction fades. These lessons shape the way she views future relationships, making her more intentional about the people she allows into her life. She also becomes more selective with her time and energy. She no longer feels the need to entertain people who send mixed signals or make empty promises. If someone only reaches out when it is convenient for them or seems interested only in surface-level interactions, she is more likely to walk away than settle. She understands that protecting her peace is more valuable than chasing temporary validation. As she grows emotionally, she begins investing more in herself. She may focus on her career, education, family, friendships, hobbies, or personal goals. She discovers strengths she never knew she had and builds a life that brings fulfillment, even without a romantic partner. This independence does not mean she has stopped believing in love. Instead, it means she wants a relationship that adds to her happiness rather than becoming the source of it. When she eventually opens her heart again, her standards often reflect everything she has learned during her time alone. She is no longer impressed solely by charm, expensive gifts, or grand romantic gestures. She pays closer attention to consistency, emotional maturity, and integrity. She watches how a person treats others, how they handle conflict, whether they keep their promises, and whether their actions match their words. Another noticeable change is that she becomes more patient. She no longer feels pressured to rush into a relationship simply because everyone else seems to be in one. She understands that loneliness is temporary, but choosing the wrong partner can create lasting emotional pain. Waiting for someone who shares her values and respects her boundaries becomes a worthwhile investment rather than a sacrifice. This deeper appreciation for emotional connection also changes how she communicates. She becomes more open about her expectations, her boundaries, and her long-term goals. She wants honesty from the beginning because she knows that transparency builds trust. Instead of pretending to be someone she is not, she embraces authenticity and hopes to find someone who does the same. Ultimately, what she desires is not merely physical closeness, but genuine partnership. She wants someone she can trust during difficult seasons, celebrate victories with, laugh alongside, and build a future together. She understands that real intimacy is created through vulnerability, shared experiences, mutual respect, and unwavering support. Physical affection may still be important, but it becomes most meaningful when it grows from a strong emotional foundation. That is why emotional connection often becomes her greatest priority. It offers the lasting comfort, security, and sense of belonging that fleeting attention can never provide. Another noticeable sign is that she becomes far more selective about who she allows into her pair life. Time spent single often teaches valuable lessons about relationships, trust, and self-worth. Instead of welcoming anyone who shows interest, she begins evaluating whether a person truly deserves access to her time, energy, and emotions. This isn't because she has become cold or difficult. It's because experience has shown her that protecting her peace is just as important as finding love. In the past, she may have overlooked red flags in the hope that someone would eventually change. She might have ignored inconsistent behavior, broken promises, or poor communication because she wanted the relationship to work. But after spending time on her own, she starts recognizing patterns much earlier. She understands that character is revealed through consistent actions, not impressive words. As a result, she becomes less willing to excuse behavior that doesn't align with her values. She also realizes that being single is not a problem that needs to be fixed. Instead of feeling pressured by society, friends, or family to be in a relationship, she becomes comfortable with her own company. She enjoys the freedom to make decisions, pursue her goals, and create a life that reflects her priorities. Because she has learned to appreciate her independence, anyone who enters her life must bring something meaningful rather than unnecessary stress or confusion. This change often surprises people around her. Some may assume she has become too picky or that her standards are unrealistic. In reality, her standards are simply clearer than they used to be. She has learned that respect cannot be negotiated, honesty cannot be forced, and emotional maturity cannot be rushed. Rather than lowering her expectations to avoid loneliness, she raises them to protect the happiness she has already built. She also pays closer attention to how someone communicates. Is the person consistent? Do they follow through on their promises? Are they respectful even during disagreements? Can they take responsibility for their mistakes? These questions become more important than appearance, popularity, or material success. She understands that healthy relationships are built on trust and reliability, not temporary excitement. Another reason she becomes selective is that she values her emotional energy. She no longer wants to spend weeks or months investing in someone who isn't emotionally available or who has no intention of building a genuine relationship. She recognizes that every conversation, every date, and every emotional investment carries value. Rather than giving pieces of herself to people who don't appreciate them, she chooses to wait for someone who genuinely respects her heart. Her friendships also become more intentional. She naturally gravitates toward people who encourage her growth, celebrate her successes, and support her during difficult moments. She distances herself from individuals who constantly bring negativity, drama, or unhealthy influences into her life. This willingness to protect her inner circle reflects a broader commitment to living a peaceful and fulfilling life. As she continues growing, she becomes more confident in saying no. She no longer feels guilty for setting boundaries or walking away from situations that don't serve her well. Whether it's declining a date with someone she knows isn't right for her, or ending a connection that lacks mutual respect, she understands that every no creates space for a better yes in the future. This selectiveness isn't driven by pride or arrogance. It comes from wisdom gained through experience. She has learned that love should never require her to sacrifice her dignity, compromise her values, or ignore her instincts. She believes that the right person will appreciate her authenticity rather than asking her to change who she is. Ultimately, becoming more selective is a sign of emotional maturity, not emotional distance. It shows that she has developed a stronger understanding of her worth and refuses to settle for relationships built on convenience or loneliness. She knows that the quality of the people she allows into her life will shape her happiness, her peace, and her future. For that reason, she chooses carefully, loves wisely, and waits patiently for connections that are genuine, respectful, and built to last. Another sign is that she channels much of her energy into her work, business, or personal goals. When there isn't a relationship occupying her time and emotions, she often redirects that energy toward building a better future for herself. Instead of allowing loneliness to define her days, she chooses productivity. She understands that every hour spent improving herself is an investment that will benefit her for years to come. This doesn't mean she has stopped believing in love or that she has closed her heart to the meaningful relationship. It simply means she refuses to put her life on hold while waiting for the right person to come along. She recognizes that happiness should not depend entirely on another individual. As a result, she becomes intentional about creating a life she enjoys, whether she is single or eventually finds a partner. You may notice that she spends longer hours working on her career, learning new skills, starting a business, or pursuing educational opportunities. She attends seminars, reads books, takes online courses, and seeks knowledge that can help her grow. Instead of spending her evenings worrying about what she lacks, she focuses on becoming the kind of person she wants to be. Every achievement becomes another reminder that she is capable of building a fulfilling life on her own. Her ambitions often become clearer during this season. Without the distractions that sometimes accompany unhealthy relationships, she has more mental space to define her goals. She begins setting financial targets, creating business plans, improving her health, traveling, or developing talents that had previously been neglected. She realizes that personal growth is never wasted and that the strongest foundation for any future relationship is becoming emotionally and financially stable. This dedication may cause others to describe her as married to her work. While there may be some truth to that observation, the deeper reality is that she has learned to value purpose. She understands that success is not only measured by income or promotions, but also by becoming more disciplined, confident, and resilient. Every challenge she overcomes strengthens her belief in herself. Another noticeable change is that she becomes less dependent on external validation. Her confidence no longer comes from compliments or romantic attention. Instead, it grows from accomplishing difficult goals, solving problems, and witnessing her own progress. Each milestone, whether large or small, reinforces the idea that her worth is not determined by her relationship status. She also becomes more protective of her schedule. Time is no longer something she gives away easily. Before committing to a date or a new relationship, she considers whether the person will add value to the life she has worked so hard to build. She has responsibilities, dreams, and commitments that deserve respect. Anyone who enters her life must understand that she has ambitions and that supporting each life, others' growth, is an essential part of a healthy partnership. Her focus on personal goals also helps her develop emotional resilience. Challenges at work, setbacks in business, or obstacles in achieving her dreams teach her patience, perseverance, and problem-solving skills. These qualities not only make her stronger as an individual, but also prepare her to become a better partner when the right relationship eventually comes along. At the same time, she learns the importance of balance. While she is passionate about achieving success, she understands that true fulfillment comes from nurturing every aspect of her life: her mental health, physical well-being, friendships, family relationships, and spiritual growth. She discovers that genuine happiness is created by living a purposeful life rather than constantly searching for someone else to complete her. Ultimately, channeling her energy into work, business, or personal goals is not a sign that she has given up on love. Instead, it reflects maturity, self-respect, and determination. She chooses growth over stagnation, purpose over self-pity, and progress over waiting. By investing in herself, she becomes stronger, wiser, and more prepared for whatever opportunities life and love may bring in the future.